Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'd like to show you a recipe using rice. It's actually a baked rice dish. This is a dish that my mum taught me how to make. It has a Maltese background to it. For any of my Maltese followers out there, I think you'll know this one as Rossville Fawn. So what I want to do is just run through all my ingredients first and then we'll get to cooking. So in the rice I have ready to go a medium-sized diced onion, 2 cloves of garlic which I've diced up as well. I have 2 rashers of bacon which I've diced up. I have some leftover mushrooms which I'm going to put it through it, so they're also diced up. I've got some Parmesan cheese. I've got some tomatoes here that were starting to go a bit soft, so they're going to go into it too. I've got about 270 grams of ground beef mince that's going into it. I've got 1 medium carrot which I have shredded. I've got just some a jar of store-bought passata, and last but not least, my rice. This is long grain rice. Now with the rice, I've had it soaking in water for about 40 minutes, and after about 20 minutes I drained it, gave it a bit of a wash under running water, refilled it with water again, let it sit, and then again after 20 minutes I drained it again, rinsed it out. Still a bit of water in it, that's fine. So the rice is now ready also to go. Alright, so I've just got a big fry pan here, and you do need quite a large fry pan when you're making this because the sauce you will make is quite watery. It needs to be, and you'll see why. So you need quite a large fry pan when you make this dish. I'm just going to come in a little bit with the camera there. Right, okay. So in my fry pan, I've got about 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, which I'm heating on a low flame. But I am going to put that flame up now. Right. Okay, so to start with, first ingredients to go in are the onions and the garlic. Now you don't want to get too much colour in either the onions or the garlic here. You basically want the onions transparent, so you've got to stick with it, you've got to move it around a bit and just watch this one because you definitely don't want it to burn. Because basically what you're looking at, your overall dish is very light in colour, so if there's anything that's burnt, you're going to see it. Right, the onion's been cooking for a few minutes now, and yeah, it's starting to become translucent. So my next ingredient to go in will be my diced bacon. My 2 rashers of diced bacon are going in. So again, with the bacon, you don't want to crisp the bacon, you just want to cook it. Now this is a dish that will end up in the oven, so as I said, the idea is to cook things off to pretty much a translucent or just cooked stage, but it will continue to cook right through in the oven. Okay, so we've got the bacon in. I think what I might do next is I'll throw in my mushrooms. These are some baby oyster mushrooms, so they're quite meaty and quite chunky. That's why I've thrown them in now. And what I'll do is I'll actually, the smell of that bacon, amazing. And what I'm doing now is I'm throwing in my beef mince. So I've got, in this load, I've got 270 grams of lean diced beef. Now the dish I'm making tonight, if you were a family of hungry people, let's say 2 adults and two children, I'd suggest you would double the quantity of what I'm making. I'm making a smaller version tonight, simply because I'm actually going to make this to put it into the freezer. We're not going to use this tonight, but I just want to get this meal ready because this does freeze beautifully. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm breaking up the mince. I don't really want any clumps of mince in here, and I want to cook that mince so it basically goes from that very pink colour to a brown colour. Just moving it around a bit and cooking it. As you can see here, I keep breaking down the mince. I don't want any large clumpy bits. So just mashing my way through it just to break it down. Right, at this stage, that mince is pretty much brown. I'm adding in my carrots. So that's one medium carrot, which all I've done is grated it, peeled it and grated it. Added that. And I will add my tomatoes here. Now again, the tomatoes were only an optional extra because, like I said, they were starting to go soft, and I thought, well, they might as well go in this sauce. I want to get some steam going in there, so I've just put a lid on it. I'm going to leave those cook for about 5 minutes so those tomatoes can soften up. At this point now, I don't mind if there's liquid in this sauce because I will need that liquid. So I'll come back to you when those tomatoes have broken down, and we'll keep going with the next step. Right, so I'm just having a look at the sauce here. Those tomatoes are breaking down nicely. I think we can take the lid off now. Right, it's time to start adding some of our other ingredients. Don't be alarmed by how much I'm going to add, and I'll explain why in a moment. What you want is a very runny sauce. And the reason you want a runny sauce is the rice is raw, and when it's in the oven, it needs to cook in liquid. If your sauce is too thick, the rice won't have anything to cook in. So you need a liquidy sauce. So I'm going to add all the passata out of a bottle, and then what I'm going to do is probably, I don't know, maybe say about 1/5 of the bottle I've filled with water. Give it a bit of a shake, and I will add that in as well. Let's see how we go here. So I've got a tablespoon. I'm going to add 1, 2, 2.5, about 2.5. About 2.5 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. I'm going to give that a mix in. To this quantity of sauce, don't forget I've got a whole bottle of passata sauce in there, so it's quite acidic. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of raw sugar. And I'll just give that a mix. Right, and this has already come to the boil, which is good. Now, like I said, this isn't a sauce that you need to cook on the stovetop for hours and hours and hours. It's going to go into the oven with the rice and cook out even more. Now, I'm having a look at this. Now, you saw how much water I added to it, and I'm looking at it, and actually I think it is all right. I was going to actually add a little bit more water. Like I said, you need a really runny sauce here. But for the quantity of rice I've got, I think this is going to be all right. Now, with the rice, like I said, the rice sat in water for 40 minutes, 20 minutes, it was drained, it was washed, refilled, and then 20 minutes later, I drained it, I washed it, and this is what I've got. Now, what I'll do with the rice is, I have my baking tray, and on my baking tray, I actually, when I make this dish, I always use disposable aluminium trays. I just find it easier for me, and easier even when I'm going to freeze it. It's up to you, but this is what I do. Whatever you use though, whatever baking dish, please remember to spray it with a non-stick cooking spray in the bottom, because it does stick. So what we do now is we throw all our rice in there. Scooping out all those grains, so I don't want to waste any. It's too nice. Like so. Now, this rice also has to be salted. Remember, the salt is in the sauce. We don't have any in the rice. The rice requires salt. So, I always salt my rice like this at this point. Okay. I'm going to put this on this side because I want to show you how I do this as I do it. Okay. So all I'm doing is spreading that rice out a bit, like so, in the bottom of the tray. Doesn't matter. Seriously, it does not matter at this point. my sauce has come to the boil. I'm happy with that. I've turned it off. Now, what I want to do now is carefully pour the sauce over the rice. Now, I'm going to do this with a ladle because I'm known for spilling it everywhere. Like I said, you can see it's almost soupy at this point, which is exactly what you want. Don't forget, the rice is not cooked. It has to cook in something. It has to cook in a liquid. In this case, it will be the meat sauce liquid. Right, okay, so that's pretty well distributed, and I'm happy with the consistency. I'm going to give it a shake. See, you can see how watery it is. Right, okay, I made an absolute mess of my dish. I'm just going to try and clean that up a little bit. What you do now is you get your parmesan, some more parmesan. So the amount of parmesan I put in there, now we've got extra, and what you want to do is over the top of the sauce rice dish, you want to liberally sprinkle your parmesan. And what this does is it creates the most amazing crust as it bakes in the oven. So what you basically want is, you want the rice to cook virtually steamed through, covered with the alfoil. Like so. Right. And now this is ready to be popped into the oven. My oven is on 200, and this dish is going into the oven for about 40 minutes. 40 minutes time I'll bring it out and I'll show you how you check the rice to see whether or not it's cooked. So I'll see you in 40 minutes time. Right everyone, so the rice has been cooking in the oven now for just over 40 minutes, and I'm just going to check and see whether or not the rice is cooked. So I'll show you what we do. Very, very gently and very, very carefully remove the alfoil. Be very, very careful because steam does gather under it very easily to get burnt. And what you do is you just get a tablespoon, and in the very center of the rice, open it up and carefully flip it over and pull it back. Then what you want to do is just get a small amount and carefully just blow it, because it'll be boiling, but you want to taste it because you want to see if your rice is cooked. Now you want that rice fully cooked, not al dente. You need the rice cooked. Now, yes, my rice is cooked. There's absolutely no crunch in it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is clean spoon, very gently and very carefully put that lid back on, like so, covering up where I opened it up. And what you want to do now is return the rice uncovered to the oven for about 15 minutes so that that cheesy top will go really crunchy, and that the top rice goes crunchy, which is what you want. So back in the oven now for about 15 minutes. Welcome back everyone. Well, I left the rice uncovered in the oven for another 20 minutes until I got this magnificent golden color out of it. I think you can see that. See if I can give you, there you go, up close of the rice. So yeah, about 20-25 minutes extra to get that color on it. I brought it out of the oven, and then you need to let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes before you try to cut it, because it just needs to come together again to cool down. But once you've given it that time to cut, it's very simple. Just go around the edge of your dish. I usually use my egg flipper to do this. Then you just cut it up in your whatever size portion. I'm just going to cut a piece out of it so you can have a look and see what it looks like. I hope you like it. Also, just as an alternative to the mince, the beef mince, if you want, you can substitute the beef mince with a large tin of tuna in brine, and you would do it exactly the same way at the same point where you would add it in your mince. So you just throw your strain your tin of your tuna tin from the brine, pop it into the fry pan, break it all up into the sauce, and keep going. So there you go. You can do it with mince or with tuna. There's my baked rice dish, everyone. I hope you enjoy making this at home too. Bye.